So your buddy told you soldering copper pipe is easy? Just heat it up and touch the solder to it. And now you're standing in your basement wondering how close that flame is getting to the floor, joists above your head. Yeah, I get it. Soldering copper is one of those skills that's genuinely straightforward once you understand what's happening. But if nobody teaches you the safe way to do it, you can end up with a leak, or worse, a fire. I'm going to walk you through the entire process from start to finish, the right way, so you get a leak-free joint every single time without putting your home at risk. And stick around to the end, because I've got a trick professional plumbers use when soldering on existing water lines that most beginners have never heard of. Let's get into it. Here's the thing about soldering copper. It's not complicated, but it is unforgiving if you skip the fundamentals. The good news is once you nail this process, you can solder any diameter copper pipe with high confidence. And the even better news is that doing it safely doesn't add any extra time. It just takes a little know-how up front. So let's start with what you're going to need. First up is your torch. You can pick up a perfectly good torch at any hardware store for somewhere between $20 and $50. There are fancier models out there that commercial plumbers use. But for DIY work around the house, an affordable trigger start torch works great. If yours doesn't have a built-in igniter, a simple $1 lighter works just fine. I've used one for years on smaller jobs. Next is fuel, and you've got two choices. Propane, which comes in those green cylinders you've probably seen in the camping section, or MAP gas, which usually comes in a yellow cylinder. The difference is simple. MAP gas burns hotter than propane, which means it heats your joint faster. For 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch residential copper, propane works perfectly well. If you're working with 1-inch pipe or larger, MAP gas can save you some time. Either one gets the job done. Now for cleaning supplies. You'll need sandpaper or emery cloth for the outside of the pipe and wire fitting brushes for the inside of the fittings. These brushes come in specific sizes, so grab the ones that match your pipe diameter, whether that's 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, or whatever you're working with. They're only a couple bucks each. You're also going to need soldering flux, sometimes called paste. Flux is absolutely critical. Its job is to prevent oxidation while you're heating the joint, and without it, the solder literally will not flow into the connection. It just beads up and rolls off. So don't skip the flux. And finally, solder. For any potable water line, meaning anything carrying drinking water, you must use lead-free solder. You'll see it labeled as 95.5. If you're soldering copper drain lines that won't carry drinking water, 50/50 lead solder is an option. But for the vast majority of residential work, lead-free is what you want and what code requires. All right, before we touch a single pipe, let's talk about the part most tutorials skip over, and that's fire safety. You're working with an open flame that can reach over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, often in tight spaces near wood framing, insulation, or other combustible materials. So here's what you need to do every single time. First, get yourself a flame protector pad. These are heat-resistant cloths or sheets, sometimes called soldering blankets, and they cost maybe $10 to $15 at any hardware store. You hang or hold this behind whatever joint you're soldering so the flame doesn't contact anything flammable. This one item is the single most important safety tool you can own for this job. I don't care if the joint is in the middle of an open basement with nothing around it, use the pad anyway. Make it a habit. Second, keep a spray bottle filled with water within arm's reach. After you finish each joint, give the surrounding area a quick spritz. Wood can smolder for a long time before it actually catches, so a little water on nearby framing gives you peace of mind. Third, and I cannot stress this enough, have a fire extinguisher in the room. Not in the garage, not upstairs in the kitchen, right there with you. An ABC-rated extinguisher is what you want. And here's a rule I follow on every single job. After I'm completely done soldering for the day, I go back and check every joint location 30 minutes later. Touch the nearby wood, look for discoloration, smell for smoke. That 30-minute check has been standard practice for professional plumbers for decades, and there's a good reason for it. One more thing. If you're working near insulation, pull it back at least 12 inches from your work area before you light the torch. Fiberglass insulation won't catch fire easily, but the paper facing on it absolutely will. Take the extra minute to move it out of the way. Now let's get into the actual preparation of the pipe and fitting, because this is honestly where most leaks are born. If you rush this step or half do it, you're almost guaranteed to have a problem. Take your sandpaper or emery cloth and sand the outside of the pipe, the portion that's going to slide into the fitting, until you see bright, shiny copper all the way around. You're removing surface oxidation, dirt, and any residue. When you're done, it should look like a brand new penny. No dark spots, no green discoloration, just clean, bright copper. For the fitting, take your wire brush that matches the pipe size and give the inside a good cleaning. Now, most fittings come reasonably clean from the manufacturer, but you still want to rough up that interior surface. The slight texture helps the solder grab and flow properly through the joint. Push the brush in, give it 5 or 6 good twists and pull it out. You should see bright copper inside. That's what you're after. One mistake I see beginners make all the time is touching the cleaned surfaces with their fingers after prepping them. The oils from your skin can actually interfere with the solder flow, so once you've cleaned a pipe end or a fitting, handle them carefully. Grip the pipe further back from the cleaned area and hold fittings by their outside edges. Hey, if this is helping you out so far, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's keep going. With everything cleaned, it's time to apply your flux. Open up that little tin and using the brush that comes with it, spread a thin, even coat on the outside of the pipe where it'll enter the fitting. Then do the same on the inside of the fitting. You don't need a ton here, just enough to cover both mating surfaces completely. Think of it like a thin layer of butter on toast. Full coverage, but not globbed on. Now slide the pipe into the fitting and give it a slight twist, maybe a quarter turn. This does 2 things. It seats the pipe fully into the fitting and it spreads the flux evenly across both surfaces so you've got complete contact. If any flux squeezes out, that's fine. You'll clean it up at the end. All right, here's the main event. This is where it all comes together, and honestly, once you understand the science behind what's happening, soldering goes from intimidating to almost intuitive. The goal is to heat the joint so the solder gets pulled into the gap between the pipe and fitting by something called capillary action. Capillary action is just a fancy way of saying that liquid solder will flow into tight spaces on its own, even upward against gravity when the temperature is right. That's how you get a fully sealed joint all the way around without having to somehow push solder into every little gap. Here's the critical technique. Always start heating from the bottom of the joint and work your way up. There are 2 reasons for this. First, if you heat the top first, the solder will melt and want to drip down due to gravity, but the bottom of the joint is still too cool to accept it, so it just drips right off. Start at the bottom and the solder flows into the hottest part first. Second, heat naturally rises. So when you heat the bottom, that warmth travels upward and starts warming the top of the joint for you. Work with physics, not against it. Keep the tip of the flame's inner blue cone about half an inch from the fitting. Move it slowly around the bottom half of the joint. Every few seconds, touch your solder to the joint on the opposite side from where the flame is. You're using the pipe and fitting to conduct the heat, not the flame directly on the solder. This is important. If you have to touch the solder directly with the flame to make it melt, the joint isn't hot enough yet. Be patient. When the joint reaches the right temperature, you'll see the solder get sucked right in. It's actually pretty satisfying to watch. Feed a nice bead of solder around the entire circumference of the joint. For a half-inch joint, you need roughly 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch worth of solder pulled from the roll. For 3/4 inch pipe, a little more. You'll see a small silver ring form around the edge of the fitting where it meets the pipe. That ring tells you the joint is full. Now here's the finishing step, and patience matters here. Once you've soldered the joint, take the flame away and let it cool down naturally for a couple of minutes. I know some folks say to wipe the joint with flux while it's still screaming hot to clean it up. But here's the problem with that. Hitting a very hot joint with a cool substance can cause a rapid temperature drop that actually fractures the solder inside the joint. You'll think it looks great on the outside, and then it leaks when you turn the water on. Let it cool on its own. After a couple of minutes, when the joint is still warm but not burning hot, take a dry rag and wipe off the excess flux residue. This isn't just cosmetic. Leftover flux is mildly acidic, and if you leave it on the pipe, it will slowly corrode the copper over time. A quick wipe while it's warm takes 2 seconds and saves you headaches down the road. Take a close look at your finished joint. You should see that even silver ring of solder all the way around with no gaps, no dark spots, and no areas where the solder balled up on the surface instead of flowing in. If you see a section that doesn't look right, here's what you do. Apply a little more flux to the problem area, reheat the joint, and feed a small amount of solder into that spot. There's no shame in touching up a joint. Even experienced plumbers do it from time to time. Let's go over some issues you might run into and how to handle them. First, your solder won't flow into the joint at all. It just sits on the surface and balls up. This almost always means one of two things. Either the surfaces weren't cleaned well enough, or you forgot the flux. Unfortunately, the fix requires disassembling the joint while it's hot, re-cleaning both surfaces, applying fresh flux, and starting over. Annoying, but necessary. Second, the solder flows on one side, but not the other. This means you've got uneven heat. Redirect your flame to the side that isn't accepting solder and give it more time. The fitting might be touching something that's acting as a heat sink, like a metal stud or bracket, drawing heat away from that spot. Third, the flux starts turning black and crusty before you even apply solder. You've overheated it. When flux burns off, it can't do its job anymore. Let the joint cool completely, clean it up, reapply fresh flux, and try again, with a little less heat. Keep the flame moving and don't park it in one spot. Fourth, you get a drip or slow leak after turning the water back on. Dry the joint, apply a thin coat of flux over the leaking area, heat it up, and add a touch more solder. Make sure the water is completely off and the line is fully drained before you attempt this. Even a small amount of moisture inside the pipe will turn to steam and blow tiny pinholes in your solder. Fifth, green discoloration around the joint a few weeks later. This is usually leftover flux that wasn't wiped off doing its corrosive thing. Clean it off with a damp rag and it should be fine. But in the future, always wipe your joints after they cool. All right, here's that bonus tip I promised you, and this one is a game changer if you're soldering on an existing water line that you can't get completely dry. Here's the problem. You shut off the water, you drain the lines, but there's still a small trickle or residual water sitting in the pipe. That tiny bit of moisture turns to steam when you heat the joint and prevents the solder from sealing. Plumbers have dealt with this for decades with a simple trick. Take a piece of regular white bread, not the crust, just the soft inside, and stuff a small wad of it into the pipe about 2 inches past where your fitting will sit. The bread acts as a temporary dam that absorbs the residual moisture long enough for you to solder the joint. Once you turn the water back on, the bread dissolves completely and flushes right out through your nearest faucet. I've used this trick more times than I can count, and it works every single time. Just make sure you remove the aerator from the faucet closest to your work before you turn the water back on so the bread particles flush out cleanly without clogging anything. That's the complete walkthrough on how to solder copper pipes safely and get a perfect joint every time. If this helped you out, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so you catch the next one. Got questions or a tip of your own? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.